What's up? What's up? What's up? And welcome to another episode of the Savery Show. It's your boy and co-host Avery Floyd.
What's going, y'all? It's your boy and co-host Sterling Littlejohn.
Yes, sir. So welcome to another episode, y'all. And on this episode, this is Savery Show Speaker Series number 5. All right. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. And also the second time we're actually back on the YouTube page. So shout out to y'all who've been tuning in with us. Shout out to the fellas, the 336 podcast who came through last week. Got to chop it up about the Super Bowl, a little NBA talk, Deshaun Watson talk as well. So we're excited, man. We got a special guest with us here tonight, man. We can't thank him enough for being with us. And before we get to him, man, it's Super Bowl week. So I know y'all excited. We're all looking forward to that matchup with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Mahomes versus Brady. We're all excited. So whether you're listening to this the day of the Super Bowl or after the Super Bowl, we're going to get into some Super Bowl talk for y'all because we have an esteemed, Super Bowl champ with us. And who better to keep it real about the Super Bowl, about the NFL, than someone who's actually had that real firsthand experience. So, with that being said, we would like no further ado to introduce our special guest of the show, Mr. Ryan Clark.
Mister, that's when you get real old, man. People call you Mister. I get Coach Clark, I get all kind of things now. Man, I appreciate y'all boys having me on, man. Let's have a good show, talk a little ball.
Absolutely, we appreciate that. So, RC, I'll call you RC. I will lead a Mister out of here, right? We good. We
I
gonna go with the
appreciate that.
RC. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, RC, again, it's a pleasure being on with us, man, and stopping by the Savery Show. We truly appreciate it. I'm excited because I know our fans and listeners are going to get some real amazing insight from you. Sterling and I have been following you, so we know about you. We know about where you went to college, the NFL, and what you do currently. But some of our fans, maybe not so much, or they might know you from the TV shows, right? So, RC, if you could just introduce yourself, man, let us know a little bit about
Yeah,
yourself, and also let us know what you currently do.
yeah. Well, first of all, I'm just a guy. You know what I mean? And I think that's the coolest part about it, bro. We live these lives, man. And we get blessed with these opportunities, and you do certain things. I played ball at LSU. I played for the Steelers for a long time. 13 years in the league. Like you mentioned earlier, I won a Super Bowl. Shoot, I lost the one too. I think that's part of the story. But in the end, man, like now, man, I'm sitting on my sofa in some joggers and a sweatshirt. You know what I mean? I'm sitting in the same places that y'all are in y'all house, in y'all homes. And so I think the thing I would want people to know more is, yeah, I'm an ESPN NFL analyst, but more than anything, I'm a husband, man. I'm a dad. You know what I'm saying? I'm a brother. I'm a son. I'm a homeboy. And like that's what shows like this should be about. Like that's the feel, you want to have. And honestly, y'all have been hitting me up, and I was like, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. I'll get to it. And it was just one of those things. I was like, I can't keep telling these brothers I'm gonna get to it and never get to it. And like that's the thing I say about just being a guy, man. Like we got to remember that at some point it was somebody that said, you know what, I'm gonna look out for you, RC. It was somebody that said, I'm gonna do something for you to help you get to a point you want to get to. And that's kind of what I want to, I guess, relay or let people know about me. It's like, man, like we just all dudes, man, that love ball, that love chopping it up, and that's why we're here tonight.
Absolutely, man. Well, again, we appreciate it, and we try to stay persistent, right? Not to bug you, not to annoy you, just the persistence of it. And we understand you busy, man.
Oh, y'all
We'll
was
get.
persistent as hell. Y'all was persistent as hell, man. You know,
Hey, man.
but I can be honest though. Had you not been that persistent, I'm not here. Like I'll be legit. If you asked the first time and I was like, oh no, I really don't have time for it. I honestly have no more time today than I had any other day. I just made a decision that these dudes keep reaching out. They keep letting me know when they drop shows. They're persistent about promoting and marketing what they do. That let me know that y'all was serious about what y'all do. So many people are just trying to throw things out there because like it looks like a cool job. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, man, we love sports. We all enjoy speaking. We all enjoy talking. We want to entertain. And it seems really cool if I could do that type of jump from my house, or if I can make a career of doing things I love, something I have a passion for. And people kind of throw it out there. They want you to just come join their vision or be a part of their show. And you're like, nah, you ain't grinding. like you're in the work, you're not staying consistent with it. You're not constantly focused on building this brand. But I felt like y'all were. And, you know, the more and more y'all hit me up, the more and more y'all let me know episodes drop. I said, all right, you know, let me get an opportunity to, you know, chop it up with these young brothers, man, see what they're about, and hopefully in some way help y'all along.
Most definitely. We appreciate it, man. But I'm going to turn it over to my boy Sterling, man. I'm going to let you kick it off.
All right, appreciate it, bro. Well, once again, thank you, RC, for coming on with us. We really appreciate it. One of the first questions I wanted to ask you, kind of just talked about it, you know, having a 13-year NFL career, you know, playing for LSU. Can you just give our viewers just an insight to your journey to the NFL, you know, and things that you came across, like the ups and downs that you had during your career?
Yeah, well, you know, everybody's journey is different. And a lot of times what my life is about now is the destination, right? My life is about the 13 years. It's about the Super Bowls. It's about the Pro Bowl. It's about being an NFL analyst. It's about all those things. And all those things look good when they type them in your bio. But I was an undrafted free agent. You know, I was cut week 7 of my rookie year and put on practice squad. You know, Tom Coughlin sat in front of me after my second year in the league and said, hey, maybe try arena football, try the Canadian League, focus on playing special teams, right? We don't think that you're physical enough or big enough to be a safety in this league. And I appreciated that because that was real, right? Like that's truly what he felt, you know, and then the way things work out, I get a job that summer. I just got married. My wife and I, we had kids. And so I was like, all right, look, you got to take care of your family. You know what I mean? And so people don't know this, bro. Like I lived on the West Bank of New Orleans, but I started working at LSU. So I would have to get up and get on the road at like 5 o'clock to get to work. So I'd drive, I'd get to work, I'd work 8 to 5. At 5, I'd go across the street because when I worked at like the PMAC, which is across the street from the stadium where the weight room was. I'd go lift weights. I'd hop in my car, get home, eat, shower, go to sleep because I had to do that all over again the next day. And I just remember, you know, setting my life up, trying to get ready to live that life, to wear a suit, to wear a tie to work every day, and just getting on my knees one night, bro. I was like, man, you know what, God, I am okay. Like I got 2 years, but it'd be cool if I got another chance to play. I get an opportunity for a tryout. I'm actually not the guy picked. They picked another guy. That guy fails his physical. They called me for like an hour, but at the time I ain't had no cell service, so they couldn't get in touch with me for a while. They finally touched me. I get back. I meet Sean Taylor. He becomes one of my best friends in the world. I started at Washington from about week 5 on. I started for 2 years. Then Washington tells me, you know what? You ain't good enough. We want Adam Archuleta. Like, we'll take you, but we're going to pay him $30 million. We want to pay you $5 million. But you still going to play. And I was like, that's dumb. The hell with that. You know, and I get an opportunity to go to Pittsburgh. And that's where, you know, obviously Troy Polamalu is still one of my best friends. But it's because of that journey. It's because of winning Super Bowls with Ike Taylor and James Ferrier and doing all those things. You know, I finished my career in Washington, and like it wasn't about, like, to me, it wasn't ups and downs, right? It was just all part of it. You know, like all of those things bring you to this point. All of those things make you who you are. The reason I see football, the reason I see life the way I do is because of that journey. You know, it wasn't like getting cut was a down. Nah, getting cut was just part of it. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, you know, being at the airport thinking it's over was a down for me. Nah, that was part of the journey. And it could have been the last day of it. And even if it was, I was okay with that. And so I think that's all, you know, it all brings you here. I was the first active football player to have a TV contract, which is why it was so easy to transition. I mean, you know, once I knew I was going to retire, I knew I had a job. And when I did it, because it was the first time, people were kind of like, you know, you don't do that. You don't, you know, your mind's not totally on football. But I was like, aren't we supposed to be building a different brand, having the opportunity to have something to fall back on, a plan B? But now I'm wrong because it's TV. And so all of these things go in, man, to giving you an opportunity to have a different insight in other people. But my journey and the reason I am the way I am is the reason I think some people feel like I'm good on TV. Because it's not to make people think more highly of me or think I'm more intelligent or think that my experiences make me better. It's to tell them that, nah, like I'm really just like you, but this journey that was meant for me is just different than yours. So let me give it to you. And that's kind of like the dope part about having some of those, you know, what you said, some of those downs in life is like, nah, man, we ain't always been on top. And because I haven't, I appreciate being there.
Yes, sir. And you actually, and I appreciate that insight, talk about, the transition that you had and things like that. I know you also mentioned being undrafted. So I just wanted to ask you this question, being, that you were undrafted and actually making a Pro Bowl team in 2011, how did that feel being recognized as one of the best that you do, considering that you came from the road of being undrafted and going through all that and persevering to become a Pro Bowler? Can you explain that to us?
That was dope, man. I cried, actually. You know what I mean? Not very long, because I was by myself. I was by myself when I found out. But it was one of those things that at that point in my career, I would always have like people after the game or coaches come up to me and tell me how good I was and how hard it was to plan for the Steelers because of me and what I let Troy do. And then I'd always have Coach Tomlin. Coach Tomlin had this thing that he'd tell me every year, like that I didn't make the Pro Bowl. He always go, but we know we got Pro Bowl caliber play from you. You know what I mean? Like that was always his thing. That was always his thing. He's like, the people here know, like I want you. He wanted me to know that the people in the building understood what I was and who I was, which was always good enough for me. Like I didn't think I even really cared about making it, to be honest with you, until you make it. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe that's the defense mechanism, Like if you ain't got $1 million, you go, I don't really want $1 million. And then you get $1 million, you're like, hell, having $1 million is nice as hell. And like that's kind of what it was for me. I never thought, I'll be honest, I never thought I'd play in one. I thought my career was going to be what it was, a very good career, never seen as elite because of the people I played with, right? Like you ain't gonna get to do cool stuff if you play with Sean Taylor. You ain't gonna get to do cool stuff if you play with Troy Polamalu. No, you're gonna do the stuff to let them do the cool stuff. But that was how I made it, right? That was my place. And so to get an opportunity to make it, man, and be recognized with those guys and, have your name called at the time in Honolulu and, wave to the crowd and they say, 2011 Pro Bowler Ryan Clark, man, it was a special moment for myself, a special moment for my family as well. A lot of people who go all the time, like their families don't even go to the game, right? Like they just stay at the hotel and chill. But, my family was like, shoot, this is the first time we're here. We don't know if we'll ever get back. Like we're gonna go support him. And I thought it was dope that it was because of everybody I got to be there. And it was awesome that we all got to share it.
Pretty cool. One last question before I hand it over to my boy, Avery. I know you kind of talked about just a little bit about, your time at LSU, and I know you love talking about your LSU Tigers. So I just wanted to know just about, for our viewers out there, just your experience overall being in college and being in the LSU atmosphere.
Oh, bro, I would go back. You know what I'm saying? I would go like today.
Best 4 years of your life, right?
Yeah. And what's crazy is I had to go talk, with all the stuff that went on in 2020, and obviously being extremely vocal on TV about those things, about racism, about social injustice. I kind of like became like the blackest person that ever went to LSU that was on TV, and so they had a unity march. Obviously, I spoke there. They did a diversity survey in the athletic department among the staffers. I spoke there. And so the same day, I get a call from the softball team. They were having some issues. They wanted me to come kind of talk to them. And the one thing I told them was, I said, man, when you leave college, right, when you leave LSU as a student athlete, 3 things should happen. The first thing, you should be like, oh my goodness, I love the people I played with. Right? Like that should be the first thing. The next 2 things are, you should be like, I cannot believe we didn't die at some point. And the last thing is, I cannot believe we also did not get arrested. Like that was the way I looked at it. Like that was what I felt like you should have. Like you should have those experiences. Like, woo, Lord, I can't believe we made it. And like that's what it was for me, man. Obviously, being from New Orleans, my 3 best friends that I grew up with, one ended up going to Southern, the others who worked, so they drove up the time. You know what I mean? Like people thought my homeboys was in college. That's how much, they were up there. They came I worked my butt off to whoever didn't have family coming to the game to get them tickets. They was always at the game. They were always supporting. And so, man, for me to be able to have your family present, to play in the place, bro, where football is like the only thing that matters. Like Saturday night, like the Saints being good is like a good thing. LSU good is an amazing thing. Like when the Saints are good, everybody's like, hell yeah, man, the Saints are good. When LSU is good, they like, we don't care what happened on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? We don't care if Drew throws 16 interceptions. LSU won last night. And I think like that was always the feeling I wanted, to feel like we're more important than everybody. When we make a decision or when we do something, that's the first thing on the news, not nothing else. And that's what LSU was.
I appreciate that insight. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, you can take it away, Avery.
All right, thanks, bro. I appreciate it. So
No problem.
RC, we're gonna transition now, man. As we said, it's Super Bowl week, right? And you got to play in two bowls, right? I'm gonna focus on the one that you won, right? That's good times,
Always
good
a good
memories.
thing. And
Yes,
it was
sir.
at Tampa. There's no reason to even bring it.
Hey, man. Well, look, I want to know from your personal experience, a day in RC's shoes, right? Super Bowl 43, you're playing to play the Arizona Cardinals. You know what I'm saying? They have that man, Larry Legend, Larry Fitzgerald over there, Kurt Warner, and all those boys. So as you guys were preparing for that
Stressful.
Super Bowl, what were some things going through? Stressful, right? Think about too. I want to know for our viewers, RC, that part of it, the preparation, and also like the festivities, man. Like, what were y'all even able to get into during that week?
Bro, you can do everything. They don't really shut you down until like late in the week, and you already shutting yourself down. I remember, first off, as far as preparation, that year we were the number one defense statistically. Like we were like in the last 25 years, we were one of the greatest defenses ever. Like when they started keeping those stats, we gave them like 13 points a game. We were number 2, I think, against the rush, number 1 against the pass. Like it was just stupid. You know what I mean? So one, you couldn't have told us they was going to score points, much less beat us. And it wasn't like we practiced with like an air of arrogance, like we don't have to practice. We just practiced with like, it don't really matter. Like they ain't finna score. Like that's how we thought. Like we just thought we were that good defensively. And so like the preparation was cool because we're watching Larry Fitzgerald and he's running over like B Dog. You know what I mean? Like they catching, he bombing everybody. I was like, holy hell. You know what I mean? Like that's when Fitz was Fitz. So it was just dope, man, to be preparing for that game and to believe we were what we were on defense and to know they had Anquan, they had Edge, they had Kurt Warner. Like that's what it was supposed to be. So we enjoy that. It's 2 memorable nights probably from Super Bowl. Monday night, we got there early. And so we got the media day the next day. Me and Troy, man, we just went to Capitol Grill, bro. Ordered way too much food. You know what I'm saying? Like everything on the menu. We ordered. That's probably why Larry burned the piss out of us for that long touchdown because we was fat. We couldn't run. But man, we just sat down, man. We ordered a bottle of wine, bro. Because like obviously you got to settle down and can't do too much the rest of the week because you just want to be focused on the game. And we just chopped it up about the season. From week 1, Houston Texans, the year before, when I was sick, I lost my spleen, my gallbladder. People thought I was going to die. They didn't think I was going to ever play again. So we just kind of talked about that journey. The year before that, he's in the room praying with me, crying because they don't know if I'm going to live. You know what I'm saying? And now we're sitting down at a table on Monday night, eating steaks and ordering too many calamaris and different things and drinking a glass of wine, about to go play a Super Bowl together. And so that's what we did on Monday. Then obviously media day is just super dope because you get an opportunity, myself, it was like I had a podium. Y'all talk about being an undrafted free agent, stupid things matter. It's not like the Pro Bowl is huge, but, being elected a captain was huge to me. You know what I'm saying? Like all these dudes who have millions of dollars, who were first round picks, thought, you know what, if there's somebody I want to follow on this team, it's you. Like that was important to me. But getting a podium was big because like only 10 people get one or 8 or something like that, and I play for the Steelers, right? So, I'm thinking you got Ben, you see what I'm saying? You got Santonio, you got, James Ferrier, James Harrison, Troy Polamalu. Like it's all these people on this team who are Pro Bowlers and greats. And it was like, yeah, RC, that's your podium right there. I was like, what? That's for me? You know what I'm saying? And so like that was just an awesome thing. And then Friday night, it was dumb because like Monday night when we went to eat the restaurant, it was warm. So I was like, hey, can I get reservations Friday for my family? A lot of my family was coming in, and they was like, well, would it be okay being outside? I was like, yeah, it's hot. It was cold as a mug on Friday night, but it was cool to, have my parents there, obviously my kids, my wife, um, some other family members and friends, and just sit them down and get an opportunity to thank them. Because, especially after the year we had previously with me being sick, I was only out the hospital for 2 days, and Sean Taylor passed. And so it was just '07 was a tough year, and for '08 to be what it was for me individually, but obviously for us as a team, meant a lot to my family, and it meant a lot for me to have them there for that moment. But you own club a lot. Obviously, you're not in the streets. You let the people do that themselves. But for us, it was about Monday night getting some time, Tuesday having media day, then Wednesday and Thursday it's about football. Friday it's about family. Saturday it's about getting ready to go play the game.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that. So one more part of that, RC, I want to know. So once the confetti falls, man, you guys are Super Bowl champions. If you could elaborate too, how does that moment when you think back and you're like, we just won the game, like, and that was one of the all-time greatest Super Bowl finishes too. So thinking about like y'all win, everyone's going crazy, yelling, screaming. How did that feel, man? Can you describe that for us?
I can't even remember, bro. To be honest, it's I kind of gave y'all a background of what the year before that was like for me. And so, like, I just remember going back and watching the Denver game, because that's when I got sick. I had the sickle cell trait, and I had an adverse reaction to altitude. So I had a crisis. And I remember we lost that game. Jay Cutler kneeled, right? And I remember watching the game and thinking to myself, if I would have died, like, they would have showed me just walking off the field and I lost to Jay Cutler. Like, how awful would that have been for that to be like the last play, And so, man, like, I remember when that year started, I said, you know what? I said that, like, these could be my last plays or my last play. And if it is, I wanted it to look a certain way. Like, I wanted people to be like, man, he tore his knee up, but he was running fast as hell and hit dude hard as hell. Like, that's what I wanted. And so every play, man, every game, it just mattered. And I played it like it was going to be my last one. So I remember there's a picture of me like laying in the confetti. I got my hands here, and I just remember thinking on the ground, I was like, I'm so relieved this is over. And I just was like, I was exhausted. I had gave it everything I had, and I knew that, and it's like anything y'all do, I'm sure if you give something everything you have, you want to reap the rewards of it. But it's not how it works in sports. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you could give it all you have and the other dude's just better, And so it was, for me, I was relieved that we had won it. I was relieved that it was over. And it felt right. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's some people who I'm like, I feel like if Arizona wins that Super Bowl, they feel like this is amazing comeback story. It's an amazing underdog story. They're in a place that nobody thought they could be but them, right? When we won it, it was kind of like, yeah, y'all was supposed to win it. You know what I mean? It wasn't an underdog story. It was, nah, like, this was the best team in football. Y'all had been the best team in football, probably along with the Tennessee Titans that year, all year, and y'all were supposed to win it, and we did.
That's dope, man. That's remarkable, man. That story, that comeback. You could write a movie about that. You know what I'm saying? Some people write a movie about your story, bro.
Hey, ain't no movies and books gonna be about me, man.
All right, but RC, so sticking on the Super Bowl, talking about this matchup we got coming up, man. We see you on TV. We love your analysis. Excuse me. We want to know. So we got the Chiefs, we got the Bucs. Everyone's saying, "Oh, Brady Mahomes," but there's also a defense on both sides too. And obviously, being that you play defense, what's your outlook on this game, man? Is it going to be a track meet, or do you expect more so a close, maybe a 2017, 23-20, or you think it's going to be like, it's going to run a score?
It's not going to be 23-20. It's not going to be that. It's also not going to be 50-47 either. I think this is a game that ends up, the 30-27 range, 31-30 30, 28, 34, like in that area. Because these teams can score, but they also are good defensively. But you know how the league works now. Like the game is rigged to score. You go back to the first meeting of these guys, and Tyreek was just uncoverable. They couldn't do anything with him. 200 yards in the first quarter, 3 tubs, and they were easy too, and it was ugly. You know, Carlton Davis being singled up way too much. I expect that to change. But also, if you go to who Tampa Bay is offensively, they're different. And so now you think Tampa Bay being different offensively, running the football, play action pass. Kansas City has to do something different than they did in the first game. Kansas City blitzed a ton, got Brady off his spot, forced 2 interceptions. Are they going to run that same thing back? We also got to remember, if any defensive coordinator in the league right now could say, you know what, me against Tom Brady, I like me, it's Spags, ain't it? Right? Spags is in New York when they beat Tom Brady. Spags obviously beats Tom Brady early on in the year. And then if you're Patrick Mahomes, you know you got Shaq Barrett, JPP coming off the edge, and neither one of your starting tackles are at the game or in the game. You know, and so I think this could be interesting. It's going to be about who makes the big time plays in critical moments defensively, right? Like, is it Tyrann Mathieu that comes up with the play? Is it Murphy Bunting, like we've seen in 2 games? Freaking Devin White, who's just been losing his mind. Chris Jones, Frank Clark, all these people are dead. Or if it's like one of these people we don't really talk about, you know what I'm saying? Whether Whitehead plays or Winfield, who's obviously a great rookie, or you go defensively for Kansas City, L'Jarius Sneed, Travarius Ward, Bashard Breeland, you know, who just comes up big at times. And so I think that's what Super Bowls are about. It's obviously an A-player game. That's what Coach Tomlin used to call it when, like, say we play in Baltimore, right? On Monday, he right on the board, he was like, this is an A-player game. You know, what that meant was, okay, Ben, you got to show up, right? Santonio, you got to show up. Troy, you got to show up. Ryan, you got to show up. Like the rest of y'all, we need some plays from y'all too, but we ain't winning without those dudes playing well. And so which one of those dudes balls, and then which one of those other guys makes a play in the game that changes it?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and we're very excited, RC. Our last episode we talked about, we both had picked the Kansas City Chiefs. My boy Sterling, you know, big Brady fan, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I am not.
Okay.
So he picked the Chiefs, but as I said in the last episode,
Do you think Brady's the GOAT though?
Do I think Brady's the GOAT? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
But he's hedging his bet, is what I was trying to tell people on the last episode. He's picking the Chiefs, but really in his mind, he's like, you know, I'm gonna say the Chiefs, but when if the Buccaneers come and win this thing, he's gonna be like, oh my God, Brady's this, Brady's that. You're gonna rub it in my face forever. I'm just putting that out there.
But Avery, Sterling knows though that Brady is not the reason they're in the Super Bowl. He tried to throw it away, so that's why he's scared. That's why he's scared, dog. He like you.
Now go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
No, you're right, RC. That's exactly why I'm scared, because I know that he is not the reason why they got to the Super Bowl. So, like, he thinks I'm hedging my bet. I really believe the Chiefs will win. And like, okay, you keep on saying that, Avery, but we all know hey, you a Tom Brady hater.
Don't hit me up if the Bucs win this thing. I don't want to hear from you. I want to hear nothing.
But you know what's so crazy though about people who are Tom Brady fans? Because he does so much good, right? Because he is so good, you're a hater if you say anything about it.
Anything.
You know what I mean? Like if you like, man, you know what? Tom wasn't that good last week when he threw 3 interceptions in the second half. Oh my God, you hate the GOAT. He's the GOAT. It's Tommy Brady. How do you? I'm like, bro, so you ain't watched that game? Like they not there because of him. But you know, Sterling and his friends, they all Tom Brady can do no wrong. What the folks know they get on my nerves, man.
Hey, but RC, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So obviously, you know, we know you're NFL analyst for ESPN. So I don't even know if you're allowed to tell us this, but we would love if you could share like your prediction, your pick for this game, who's going to win.
I'm going Chiefs 34-30. Patrick Mahomes is the MVP. I think it's going to be a good game. I think both teams will make plays. I'm just trying to remember a time, and maybe y'all can help because I'm old. When have we ever said, like in a playoff situation, right? Man, this is a time Patrick Mahomes needs to step up. And then we went, dang, Patrick Mahomes ain't show up. I don't remember. Maybe there's a time.
Hasn't
I don't
happened
remember.
yet.
Yeah, all I remember is this is his third Super Bowl if the Kansas City Chiefs don't line up in the neutral zone.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I said something that really pissed people off the other day. And like, I don't care. Why I'm worried about y'all. So I'll ask y'all, see, we're gonna do the show together.
All right.
Do you think if Patrick Mahomes wins this game, because really when you look at these rosters, the Chiefs are top heavy, right? Like 4 of like the 5 best players play for the Chiefs, but the rest of them play for Tampa Bay. Right. And so
that's real.
And so in that, if Patrick Mahomes wins this game, it's gonna be about him. I think if he's on the podium and he wins this game and he goes, you know what, guys, I've had enough. I'm retiring. I think he's a Hall of Famer. I think that in 4 years, that career puts him in the Hall of Fame. I believe in 4 years, this career is better than Drew Brees' career. I just do. I think it's better than Aaron Rodgers' career. And people were like, you can't say that, this and this. I said, yes, I can say that because the man has never come up short. Patrick Mahomes, and I'm a Jordan fan. I don't know. Y'all look like LeBron fans. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
No.
You know.
No, this the biggest Kobe fan I know, man. That's the biggest Kobe fan I know.
So I was gonna tell y'all, Kobe was my favorite player of all time. Right? I have a Kobe tattoo. I just bought Kobe picture. Shoot, I love Kobe so much. My son loves Kobe. Like I forced it upon him. I was like, either you gonna live here or not, son. But you only can live here one way.
Right there.
Yes, sir.
Right. And so, but the reason I fell in love with Kobe is because I was such a big Jordan fan as a kid. Right. I think Patrick Mahomes in 3 years as a starter has given us both Jordans. And not the Wizards Jordan. He don't count to me. That guy never lived. Right? He's given us young Jordan, right? Because remember, I don't know if y'all watched The Last Dance. They go back and they talk about how Magic and Bird knew as soon as he started playing, he was the best player in the league. Right? The year he's a rookie, he averages 27. They knew right then and there he was the best player in the league. When Patrick Mahomes became the starter at Kansas City, we knew that day, oh, he's the best player in the league, right? Like we saw it. But then as Jordan got older and we got to the finals, when you be in the finals and the game's tight, you go, oh, shoot, they got Michael Jordan. They finna win. And he always showed up. It was 6 out of 6 times you needed him, he was there. And it was never a hiccup. Bruh, Patrick Mahomes has been like that too. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to think about that. From the time we saw him, he was the best player in the league and the most clutch. And that's at the same time, all in the beginning of his career. So you beat the GOAT. Both your tackles are injured. You really don't have no running game, right? Your defense has two and a half, 3 really good players. Chris Jones, Frank Clark, Tyrann Mathieu. The rest of them, you're like, we like them. We take other ones, right? And if he wins this game, it's 3 years as a starter, 3 AFC championships, 2 AFC championships, and probably 2 MVPs. Man, stop. Man, Patrick Mahomes could play football left-handed with his shoes on the wrong feet the rest of his life, and he in the Hall of Fame. And that's that.
Hey, well, I'll take it first. I agree with you, RC. And I love Mahomes, my homeboy. We know he's the best in the game. There's no question about that. I think RC, I don't know if people get offended because he hasn't played that long or they want people to have longevity. Like, Breeze has played so long. He has all these, touchdown records and all that. Aaron's played in the game for a long time. And people say he's the greatest thrower of football we've ever seen. But at the same time, you've been in the league so long, you get to that one ball, you win it. Okay. Breeze, he won his one, but we've never seen it before in football of all sports. We don't see, greatness this young and consistent on this high of a level. So I don't think your take is actually crazy. I agree with you.
Thank you.
I mean,
he's finna hate. Sterling's gonna be like, bro, but you can't compare him to Brady, who has played 21 years and he's been to 14 championships, 10 Super Bowls. He finna give you all that. I'm not listening to Sterling, man.
All right, bro. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Hey, I wasn't even about to even go there. See, you already think I was go there. Look, no, but in all seriousness, no, I think that I agree with you from the standpoint that if he gets a second Super Bowl, he's already had a better career than Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers. Like I believe that. In regards to Hall of Fame, you would know more better because you played the game of football. I just don't know if 4 years would get him in. Like I love your take. Like I don't disagree with you, but I think like Avery said, a lot of people like within the media or like probably former players will say, well, he needs more time underneath his belt to get there. You know, so. But I love your take though. I don't disagree. I know
that's an old antiquated old people view.
I'm with you.
Sterling. I don't know that because
he tried to play both sides. Like, well, I agree with you, but I want to just say
like,
just in case that
it's like the Super Bowl pick. I'm going Kansas City, but
yep.
Win. Time to go. That's all he doing, man.
He gonna troll me hard if the Bucs win. Oh, I'm never gonna hear the end of it. He's been saying I want Tom to get 7 since the end of the last year. You told me though, Tom will get that 7. I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever.
So, Sterling, were you a New England fan too?
Okay, so a background story. See, Avery's not telling the whole story here. It took me being at his house, the Super Bowl, New England versus Atlanta Falcons, to fully support Tom Brady. I was not a Tom Brady fan. I couldn't stand Tom Brady. But after that Super Bowl, I was like, man, I should be appreciating his greatness more. Like, I've been sitting back like, you know what, man, I can't stand Tom Brady. He needs to lose this and that, rooting for any team that played against him. And ever since that Super Bowl, I'm just like, you know what, I have to support this man. And that's where it comes from. I'm not like an overly big Tom Brady fan. I actually like Aaron Rodgers more than Tom Brady. That's what Avery won't tell you. But you know, but I respect Tom Brady, and if he gets 7, I think that puts him in a different, you know, class like that. I mean, yeah.
Oh, it's Tom Brady and everyone else, for sure. And I think the thing that Patrick Mahomes has done that's fascinating is he's won early like Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Right? A lot of guys don't win that early. Now, the thing he did that Tom didn't do was he won because of him. Right?
Yep, there it is right there.
Tom didn't do that early. And so now the question becomes, the next step is, what's the middle of Patrick Mahomes' career like? Right? Because we can't all think that Andy Reid is his coach the rest of his life. Right? Like at some point, Andy got to be like, all right, y'all, look, I'm going to go chill. Like I've done enough. So if he has that coaching change, or what happens, you know what, Travis Kelce's in the middle of his career. What happens when he's a little older and not the same, right? Tyreek Hill can't be a video game the rest of it. Like at some point, this has to slow down. You know, and so what is like middle career Pat? And then say middle career Pat gets him to like 4. What's declining twilight years Pat like? Right? Because that's truly what happens with Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. Right? It was like at first you were okay. And then in the middle, he was like, oh, crap, he's better than everybody. When you get Randy Moss and you have those guys and you're still winning. But now at the end, it's like, man, he's not better than everybody, but he's better than a lot of y'all. You know, can you sustain that? To whereas Drew Brees was still putting up numbers. But if you watch the game, he was like, dude's done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like these balls aren't the same. Whereas Tom Brady, I'm like, holy hell, like I need to go eat some avocado salad and some quinoa too. You know what I mean? Like I try to get up and do the elliptical and my legs hurting. And Tom Brady out here throwing 60-yard bombs to Scotty Miller because Kevin King don't read the scouting report and think that he like all the other white receivers and he a possession guy.
Man, that's crazy. Man, but RC, we appreciate that, man. But we're actually going to transition. We love to take. We're all wrong with the Chiefs. I love it. We want to transition, man, to the sports media, right? Sterling and I, you know, we went to grad school together at Xavier University in the sport administration master's program, right? So we're big into sport administration professionals and all that. So in the sports media side, right, you said you retired. It was in 2015. I think it was maybe like a month after you get right into the business, right? With ESPN.
That contract had been done, Coach.
Oh, you've been good. Yeah, you ready? You was good. You was all you said. Bet. So you had that coming for you, right? And you get on ESPN, man, doing the Sports Center, the NFL Live. Obviously, Get Up's a newer show. First Take's been out. So many, we've seen you, and a lot of our fans, I feel like, even if they don't, remember your career or whatever, they know you from these shows, right? They know your personality, all that. So I just want to know for the fans, being a professional athlete, right? And then transitioning to the media side, how was that for you? And like, what are some of the things you enjoy? Or what are some of the things that might even tick you off doing it as well?
I didn't really like it. I didn't like that. It's so subjective, right? Like if you balling and you're working hard, you're gonna play. This is not like that. If you feel like you're doing extremely well, that doesn't mean you're gonna get a show, right? That doesn't mean that they're gonna use you more. It doesn't mean that you're gonna get paid more. That was difficult for me. Some of the politics involved, like I'd be walking down the hall and there's guys who has the executives' phone numbers. I ain't got nobody's phone number. Like I don't call them, and it's not in a negative way. It's just that like I just want to go do my job. I don't want to be an annoyance to anyone. I don't want to feel like I'm always asking for anything. I wanted it to be, if I do my job and I do my job well, you recognize that and I'm rewarded that way. It was a little different for me. And so that kind of rubbed me a little wrong. I think the other thing was, and nobody put this on me, I think it was so long we saw what it looked like to be on TV. And for the longest time, it didn't look like me, and I'm not even saying it that it was white. Like this is not a race thing, but the black analyst or the black former players, like it wasn't about our culture in that way. You know what I'm saying? Like you couldn't, there wouldn't be a culture Wednesday back in the day. You see what I'm saying? Like they wouldn't just let me and Dom get on TV and be black as hell, and say things where Greeny's like, I don't get that reference, but I'm sure it's funny, and
yeah,
and that part was hard to me. You know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes because I am the way I am, some of what I do is lost on executives, right? Like certain things that you might connect with, or that you might find funny, or that might explain a play or a situation to you so vividly, it's not explained to them like that. They're more familiar with hearing a Dan Orlowski or a Phil Simms or those type of guys. Like that stuff makes sense to them. And so I kind of fought that because I was like, well, if I want to be great, I got to be great to these people, because being great to these people is what gets you paid. It's what gets you jobs. And man, it was probably like a little bit over 2 years ago. My contract was coming up and I was hearing these different things. And I was like, man, you know what? Like, if I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out like me. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm not gonna get the job anyway, right? Like if I'm not gonna just continue to elevate anyway, which I felt I was good enough to do, at least I'm gonna start doing it my way. And that's kind of when everything took off. Like I felt like I always did a great job. Like everybody was always very complimentary. But I think when I was finally like, man, I'm gonna go ahead on and do this the way I like, and connect with people the way I talk, and converse with people the way I am, I think it helped. Josina Anderson, who's no longer with ESPN, like when I first started, bro, and I thought I was doing really well, I was like, I am killing this. This TV stuff is a breeze, She came to work one day and she covered me when I played, and she goes, she's like, I wish everybody knew how funny you were. And I was like, what you mean? She was like, I wish your personality showed on TV. She's like, I know you. She's like, the dude that you are. She's like, you're great on TV. She's like, I'm not saying you're not. She's like, but the dude that you are would kill on TV. You know what I'm saying? And that was when I realized, you know what, bro? Like, I can't out Brian Greasy. You feel me? Like, I can't out Lou Riddick. I can't out Booger McFarland. I can't out Rex Ryan. I can't out Teddy Bruschi. I can't be them better than they are them. What they can't do is be me. And like once that clicked, I started to like TV. I was like, oh, y'all gonna let me say this? You know, and I will say too, my favorite part about TV was 2020. I know that was truly a year for it was just a tough year for everybody. You know, the best thing about it was though, in 2016, 17, during those protests, I was very vocal to the point where there were sometimes in production meetings, they'll say, we're not going to ask you about Kaepernick, or we're not going to like in the production meeting, they go, you going to say that on TV? And I'd be like, hell yeah. And they'd be like, oh, we're not asking that. Right. But I was okay with that. I was okay with, I understand you have a show to do. And if you're not going to let me be me, I'm okay with you not involving me. I was fine with that because you can't involve me in trying to tell me what to say about something like that. But if you feel like, you know what, RC, we're going to save you from yourself and save us from you, I was cool with that. 2020 made it so that I wasn't as far in the minority as I was in that building, right? And so it gave me an opportunity to speak, and it gave me an opportunity to lead. And because I am who I am, and because I had said I was going out like me, I got to be a voice for people who didn't have no voice. You know, I got to have an opportunity to take what I was doing on TV and let that match my life. That when young activist groups came to see me, I said, okay, what money do we need? What buildings do we need? What areas do we need? When do I need to speak? Who do I need to speak to? And that was the beauty in TV recently, that being me was okay. And being me meant I could be me for y'all. I could be me for your brothers, for your sisters, for your mom, for your dad, you know. And the biggest thing is now when I walk around and I meet people and I see them that look like us and they go, hey man, you do that jump for us. You know what I'm saying? That matters to me.
Absolutely. And again, we love and respect what you're doing on there, bro. And we love tuning in and seeing you, like you said, the Culture Wednesdays, and you
Coach
and
Wednesday, bro.
Dominique, and yes, sir. You know, Marcus Spears and all y'all, man. We love it.
Yeah.
So going along with that, man, you know, you obviously, you know, do First Take and the other shows, NFL Live as well. Man, when you're up there with like the Stephen A. Smiths, the Max Kellermans, and all those other like former NFL players as well, how is that in that element for you? Like when you're debating a Stephen A, right? And like you kind of elaborated on it a little bit, but when you're doing those debates, man, is it kind of like, okay, you know, Stephen A is gonna say this, Max gonna say that, you know, I gotta say this, or is it kind of sometimes even spontaneous? Sometimes your response
All
to
of it's
some of the way.
all of it's spontaneous for me because I don't get to go to the meetings.
Okay.
You know, so like the way they plan the show is they'll send you an email. So Stephen there answer, Max will answer, and they'll find things they disagree on because they agreed on everything. It'd be a terrible show. But so usually when they're having that meeting, I'm gonna get up, right? So I don't know. I just get an email. Here are your questions, or here's the topics, and sometimes the topics switch. And so everything for me is just off the cuff, like what I think about the situation. What's cool is though, usually I'm there obviously to impart expertise, but also to break ties. You know, like if it's an either or question, I get to pick a guy. You know, sometimes I won't pick either and I'll just give my opinion. And so I think, you know, and I made mention to them about this the last time I was on, bruh, like every time I'm on TV with them, my sole goal, like First Take for sure, my sole goal is for people to be like, Ryan Clark's better than Max and Stephen A. Period. And not in a disrespectful way, right? Like not in I'm gonna talk down to you, and like we're gonna do our jobs. And at the end of the day, I want people to be like, Ryan can have that job, or Ryan can have that seat. Not that I want the seat, right? But you want to do that good of a job. Like that's the competitive nature I had to start focusing on to enjoy TV, right? And so then now when you're on with Swagoo, who I went to school with is different, right? Me and Swagoo texting, talking the whole show. You know, he like, all right, RC, you know, you kill that one. And then I'll be like, yeah, dog, on this next one, because we already talked about in production meeting, you go ahead and go off. I'm going to do this, you know? And then sometimes it is spontaneous. And like me and Dom, it's so crazy. It's like we never planned any of the references ever. You know what I'm saying? They just come out, you know, or like he might say something like the other day, I forget, he called me Spencer James, you know, because I had a Letterman jacket on. And I was like, well, Billy Baker ain't gonna be coaching just because I watched the show. You know what I'm saying? Like one time he brought up Perfect Strangers. I don't know if you remember that with Larry and Balky, you know, and so it was on First Take. And so when it swung around to me, I started talking about my favorite episode of Perfect Strangers, which is when Balky got a checkbook, but he didn't understand you had to have the money. He just thought you could write checks because you had the checkbook. And I was saying, I was speaking to some team. I said, that's what that team is doing. But Larry, and so, you know, it's all different with everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like it just depends on your actual relationship with them. But I think in the end, man, it's competition. In the end, it's about fun, and it's about more than anything, though, it's about respect. You know, when I look at a dude like Stephen A, man, I got the ultimate respect for him. One, because of what he's accomplished and the way he's worked. Two, because of the way he treats me, right? The respect he shows me, the phone calls, the advice, always working to get me on the show. That dude could ask anything for me and I'll do it. You know, then guys like Dom and Spears, who I'm on group text with, who it might be a simple ARC, you kill that when we're not on the show with each other. You know what I'm saying? I think like all those things are cool. And then even, to be honest with you, like even a dude like Dan, you know, I say it all the time, he's the sweetest human I've ever met. You know, he just really is. But like simple things, man, of me wanting to pull something out of him because he's so nice, me feeling he's fired up about something. So throwing him a question or debating him on it and then him getting better. You know what I'm saying? Like him getting upset about it or not upset, him feeling some type of way and then coming back at it. And then for us to text in the commercial, like, yeah, RC, that was it, man. I love that you'll disagree. I'd be like, hey, man, I was like, I like Fiery Dan. People need to see him more. So I wanted to pull that out of you. And he's like, thank you, bro. You make everybody better. Like those things, like that's what TV becomes when you're at the same place you've been at the whole time. Like I've been at ESPN the whole time. So I know everybody. And you start to develop a relationship like y'all two, how you could throw Tom Brady in his face or he can come back and talk about the Super Bowl with Atlanta and New England. You see what I'm saying? Like those are things that you're not going to share with anybody other than him. But when y'all keep doing certain things, you might be on another show with somebody else, you know, y'all got something. And so that's what it is for me, man. Like every relationship is different. You know what those relationships are, and that's what you play off on TV.
Absolutely. And again, we appreciate that. And I like how you even tied us in it too, because Sterling and I we're like the best of friends, man. We're basically brothers in a sense. And we got to share so many cool moments. Like you said, the 2016 Super Bowl. I'm a diehard Eagles fan. I hosted the Super Bowl party. He came through. We saw them beat the Patriots. Like all these moments and things we go back on. So like you said, our show is like, yes, we want to get to the facts of the situation. And even our previous episodes, like we don't run from topics. I remember the first episode we did, we went right into, you know, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and their untimely deaths and the social injustice, the racial inequalities that were going on. From the very first show, nobody knew what the heck we were about, right? Boom. You know what? We got to talk about this like before, like the very first topic of the entire show. But that's just how we keep it real. Whether you like it or not, you can choose to listen to somebody else talk sports, but we want to make sure we stay real about it. So that's why we respect and appreciate your realness on your shows as well. But with that, RC, absolutely. Sterling wanted to ask you a few more questions about sports media as well.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. RC, so one of the questions I wanted to ask you, having received your degree in mass communications, do you feel your degree or your years as an NFL player place you in a position where you are now as an analyst?
I was definitely NFL, because if I wasn't good at football, I would get to act like I get to act. I'd probably have to be more journalistic for sure. But what's crazy is, you know, so you take the classes, the base, you know, requisite classes, but my concentration was sports information. So I wanted to be a sports information director, right? Because obviously they used to pick me to do all the interviews, especially when we lost after games. And so the sports information director would always come down. He grabbed me, RC, we lost. They want to talk to you, kind of help me out. And I was like, man, how cool would it be to be that dude for people? Like I dang near talked to him the most, other than my coaches, because I did a ton of interviews. I was like, I would love to be the guy to go say, hey, RC, Avery, Sterling, look, we lost the game. Some of the questions are going to be hard. Just be careful. Don't let them trip you up. Don't say anything crazy. To be giving young men advice on how to conduct themselves publicly. I just thought that would have been a cool deal. But obviously being in mass comm and kind of getting a feel for those things helped. I went to Catholic school. My mom is one of those people that if you heard her work voice, you wouldn't think she looked like she looked. Let me just say that, and so, I was in one of those homes where every question that was asked, it wasn't, you could answer yeah or or okay. It was yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And we spoke, and our conversations were conducted in ways where it was about full sentences and complete comprehension and complete understanding. And so that kind of helped me get here. But I'm still from New Orleans. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still from Louisiana. And there are certain slangs, like there are certain things I don't say well because of my accent, right? Or because of the way that people down here formulate their words. And so I know and knew like I was never going to be the dude that I wasn't going to be Stuart Scott, who could flow seamlessly in between that world of perfect grammar, right? Perfect enunciation to booyah, right? Or to, cool as the other side of the pillow. Like I knew I wasn't going to be there. I was like, but I got to be somewhere in the middle, and I got somewhere in the middle because of my upbringing. Obviously, they put me on TV because I played for the Steelers and we won Super Bowls. But having that background of having to produce shows in college and, speak in front of the camera and do different things, I think all of those things play a role in getting you here. And honestly, man, I was a straight A student that always had C's in conduct. So I've been talking. And that was kind of it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I actually remember like one of the episodes on ESPN First Take, and you talked about your mass communications degree, and you talked about, you were like, I have my mass communications degree. Even though I play football, I can do something else. And I think that really spoke to a lot of athletes, in my opinion, because, you were letting people know like, hey, I'm more than an athlete. We hear that going around a lot now, more than an athlete. And to me, like, you were really in the forefront of that, especially early on, being on TV. And I just, just want to say I appreciate you for, giving, a lot of athletes a platform, and basically, sharing your experiences, things that you've gone through as far as media. And I just really appreciate that, man. I think it's great what you're doing.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And just another quick question is, well, I know you kind of talked about, Stephen A. Smith and Josina Anderson, some things that you learned from them. What are some that you've learned from and like mentors to you and kind of gave you guidance along the way?
Oh, just like TV?
Yeah, TV, yes. Yeah.
I think TV's a weird world, right? I think people on TV are more insecure than they may seem because it's such a visible job, right? And the fame is good because the fame comes along with money. But it's also a job a ton of people want. And sometimes those people are better than you. Sometimes those people are more attractive than you. Sometimes they're smarter. Sometimes they're more educated. And so the things that I've learned, I don't necessarily know if it's just from being mentored. It was just, okay, you do your job in a way that you can live with, right? In a way that makes you comfortable. Because if you're uncomfortable, if you're not you, then the regret goes with that, right? And you take the jobs that fit you, not the jobs that people think you should do. You do the things that fit you. You talk about the things that you're passionate about because people could see that authenticity. People could see that passion. And I think lastly, more than anything is when it's all said and done, your words can never be erased. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what, you can apologize for them. but you can never take them back. So I was taught the power of the word, the magnitude of what you say is very important when they put a camera in front of you. And I think that was probably the thing that hit me the most, is that, these things I say will live on in eternity.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for that insight. Just the transition here. I know, you talked about, sickle cell, and, that hits home for me. My uncle, he was actually diagnosed with sickle cell trait in the early 60s. And many of my female cousins have actually died from it. And I know that, just a little quick fact, I know that sickle cell disease occurs in 1 out of every 365 Black or African-American births. And about 1 in 13 Black or African-American babies are born with sickle cell trait. I just wanted to know if you can just highlight like your sickle cell foundation, in particular area that you're focusing on when in regards to sickle cell.
Yeah. And so while I was playing, I started the Cure League. And in the Cure League, we were just focusing on raising funds, raising awareness to actually find a cure, but also find more than one FDA-approved drug. And it was just a lot of good work. It was working along with the UPMC family of hospitals. And so I just felt like what we did there touched people. I felt like it magnified the cause, but more than anything, the people that were affected. So many times these people that are affected with sickle cell are looked at as drug searchers or drug users, or they're looked at as people who were actually defective, and they're not, right? It's just a way that their bodies react to a certain thing, and the tolerance that they end up building for pain pills, right? And then the way that you have to care for them. Also understanding that it affects African Americans, and so we all know that when things affect African Americans, they're treated differently than they affect another sect of people, right? And so my big thing was, it affects African Americans, but it can affect African Americans like me, who I am in your tax bracket. You see what I'm saying? Like, I can be in the same rooms you can be in. Like, I've earned my right. I've been blessed to do that. So you can't look at us as less than because this afflicts us and not you. And so that was huge for me. And so now I work a ton with the Baton Rouge Sickle Cell Foundation. We do something here called Ryan's Run. And, it's the same focus about bringing awareness, raising funds for sickle cell treatments, for sickle cell research. And recently, the lady that ran it, her name was Lori Burgess, she passed. And it was one of those crazy things that it was run by a person who didn't have sickle cell. You know what I'm saying? Or who wasn't affected personally, just had a love for it, just understood it. And so for me now, it's been very important to continue to be involved with them, to continue to work with them, to continue to give them a voice, a bigger voice than they've had previously. And so we just continue to try to do the good work, man, continue to support people, support those who deal with this and their families.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And that's great what you're doing. I just really appreciate that story. I was looking at, reading about, your sickle cell foundation. I just found it very intriguing what you're doing. And like I said, it really hits home with me as far as like my family. So I really wanted to ask you that question. I appreciate your insight.
I appreciate you asking, man. That was huge.
Yeah. Also wanted to transition. We kind of just talked about it briefly because Avery brought it up, that, you and I, Ryan, we're both big Kobe Bryant fans, so, for our viewers who don't know, I just want to know from you, how much did Kobe Bryant inspire you, throughout your career?
Man, I kind of talked a little bit about my upbringing, how my mom was, being a Catholic school kid. Kobe and I graduated around the same time. He was 1 year ahead of me. And, I was a kid who had both parents. They worked extremely hard, but they were really strict, So I talked a certain way. Like when you're from New Orleans, you don't really talk like this, like I talk. I couldn't, like, if I got a C on a test, I couldn't go to like the dances or go anywhere. And so I was kind of picked on, even though I was like a really good athlete, which is strange. And to see somebody like Kobe Bryant, who I felt like a kinship. You know what I mean? I was like, this dude's kind of like me. Obviously, he was much more talented, but I was like, and so I remember when he shoots the air balls against Utah. I remember saying that night, I was like, oh, I said we, like I'm shooting.
Yeah.
I wasn't with him shooting in the gym, but I remember I was like, we gonna be back. I was like, this is good, I was like, we missed him, but we shot him, like I was that kid. And as he grew, like I just remember the arguments I would have with my best friends because I was a Kobe fan. And I live in Louisiana, he ratted on Shaq. I'm like, shut up. That's stupid. You wouldn't want to have a beer with Kobe. I ain't trying to have a beer. I'm trying to get buckets. You know what I mean? And I was just always a huge fan. And I just remember I was traveling. I was coming from training people at IMG Academy. I was in the airport when I found out. I was eating sweet potato fries. I still remember this because I was crying in my fries. And then I remember flying home, crying the whole way, head against the window. I know the people next to me was like, what is wrong with this dude? And it was crazy, bro. For instance, my uncle passed recently. I can tell you, I got 200 more messages about Kobe passing and 40 more calls about Kobe passing than I've gotten about my uncle. You know what I mean? Because it was that much a part of my life. It was that obvious. I talked about it that much. Greeny all the time. Anytime Kobe comes up, he asks me a question because he already knows, bro. I used to be ready to fight behind Kobe, And so, like, I will say this: the one thing that I thought was really that I was really happy about. I know him. I was really happy that he retired and people got to see how human he was. And not only how human he was, but how good of a human he was. Right? Because if Sterling, you're a Kobe fan, you know this. Everything great about Kobe, we would say about basketball, somebody would talk about who he was as a man. You know what I'm saying? Because you couldn't deny because you couldn't deny the skill, you couldn't deny the work ethic, the drive, but it was, well, he's an a-hole and nobody wants to play with him. And he even said it himself, there were certain things relationally he couldn't be good at while he played because all he could think about was being great, right? So it was hard to be these other things for people. But when he retired, he became these other things for so many people. And he showed such a depth of humanity. And like, obviously I would love to continue to watch that. I am, like, I'm very weird about certain things. Like, if you look at my social media, there's not just like a lot of random pictures of me. They made me talk to like the ESPN people about like social media. So I start posting because I was like, what I got to post if I'm on TV? Like, they saw it. And it's like, no, you got to, people may not be watching. You got to post it. But I don't like post a lot of pictures because I don't take a lot of them. And like, I don't try to meet people. He's the one person that I will always regret not trying to big time my way into meeting. You know what I'm saying? Not asking somebody, hey, man, is it possible for me to meet Kobe? And bro, like, I get random people that send me Kobe stuff. Like when the book came out, somebody bought the book and sent it to me. I remember I had a friend who went to an autograph signing. They got a hat signed from me from Kobe. Like, that's how big of a fan I am. And, bro, like, I'll probably see something from him in 3 weeks and cry, but it's okay. You know what I'm saying? And because now it's more so of how cool I think it is that people think he's so awesome. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, y'all some dummies. Like, he had to die for that. You know what I mean? Like, I've been telling y'all he was awesome for over 2 decades. You could have listened to RC, young RC in 98, and you would have knew this. I'd already told y'all. But yeah, man. Like I say, man, I got a bean tattoo. Was crazy. My son got one recently. I just bought a painting. It was one of those things that, like, he was one of those dudes that affected me, and it affects me still now. Because now when I see some of his old interviews from post career, it's like, that type of poise, that type of focus is something I work for as well.
And first, RC, our condolences on your loss of your uncle as well.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah, no problem. And in regards to Kobe, just like you said, like I would tell my friends all the time, I'll be like, hey, man, like he is not this way at home. I'm like, you can't tell me that he is. I'm like, I'm sure, like before it was a girl dad that came out there, I was already saying, like, look at him, like you can tell he loves his daughters. And like you said, like it took people for him to die to be like, wow, like he really was a girl dad, but he was doing this whole time when people just didn't really want to recognize, or they didn't, they didn't want to acknowledge it. And, that's the thing that really kills me about his passing is that, like you said, it took people to really realize after death how much of an impact that he had on a lot of people, that he didn't even meet, so, but I appreciate your insight. I actually listened to the podcast that you did for him, I think a couple of days after he passed away, and you explained, great how much he really impacted you. So I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Yep. And then one quick question before I hand it off to my boy Avery. Who was your favorite player? Who was your favorite football player growing up?
Randall Cunningham. Easy.
Hey,
I played quarterback. I played quarterback the whole time I was growing up. He was black, obviously. But that wasn't like now, right? Like we didn't have Russ and Patrick and Deshaun. We didn't have Lamar. You didn't have all these different quarterbacks that you could look and say, hey, man, we can do it. It was like you had Randall Cunningham and Warren Moon. We got Doug Williams for a couple of years. And the other dope part about Randall Cunningham was we had the same initials. And
RC.
so like that was my thing. I wore number 12 and everything. I remember one year, bro, they didn't have 12. So I had to get 13. I was hot as fish grease. I was like, you can't give me Randall Cunningham +1. This is just Dan Marino. You know what I mean? I was like, Dan Marino don't never run. Y'all know I ain't throwing the ball. I'm scrambling back here. But it was Randall Cunningham. And then after him, it was Barry Sanders. I thought Barry Sanders could walk on water, to be honest with you. And he just never said nothing. He was just like, pew. And then he played Detroit. So he had to take 18 losses to get one game. It was amazing the man ever rushed for any yard. But yeah, so Randall Cunningham and Barry Sanders.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that.
That's dope, RC, man. Even for us, I'm thinking myself too, man. We talk about the black quarterbacks when we were coming up. One of the reasons I love football, actually, I was 7th grade. I remember it was the Eagles in 04 that made the Super Bowl with McNabb, T.O., Westbrook, Dawkins, and the crew. So my favorite quarterback was Donovan McNabb. And Sterling and I have a little fun going back and forth with it. I just remember it was McNabb, McNair, and Vic. Those are like my three, like our three for us growing up as kids, right?
Yeah.
I had all three of their jerseys too, but that's cool. So I love that RC Randall Cunningham because I'm an Eagles head, so I respect that. So RC, as we close out the show, man, on the Savery Show Speaker Series that you are a guest on today, man, we have a moment at the end of the show we call it the Savery moment. I'll give you some background, RC, right?
Okay.
So the Savery Show, spelled Savery, Sterling and Avery put together, right? That's simple.
Right.
But the term savory, and you from New Orleans, so I know you know about good food, right? So the term savory being delicious, flavorful, man, tasty, all that. When we ask you, RC, we want to know, what is your one savory moment? You could talk about your NFL career, being a father, a husband, a mentor, a coach of RC's life, the savory moment. Can you close us out letting us know that?
Oh, that's deep. Okay. Let me think, man. You put me on the spot there. I should have probably read the questions when you sent them in the email.
Hey, this was the one that wasn't on there. Believe it or not, okay. This wasn't on there.
I should have probably read the question. So I go undrafted, right? And like I didn't really get it. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't know how hard it was going to be to make a team. I was just like, oh shoot, I'm gonna make it. And my check, my signing bonus was $1,000, which isn't a lot of money. You guys know that. I thought I was rich. And like after taxes, it was like something like $634.73 or something like that. And I trained myself because I obviously didn't have money to train anywhere. And I remember getting on the plane, or my mom or dad dropped me off at the airport, and my mom hugs me and she goes, "Now go get a job." And the thing I remember most about that, because I feel like that brings us back to here, right? My family, that brings us to us doing this show because of my career and TV. And I remember walking away from her going, she know just like I know I'm gonna get a job, and like looking back on it, like it wasn't necessarily like arrogance or confidence or anything. It was just that I had never, even before she said it, I had never thought I was going to get on that plane and come back home without a job. And um, the thing that I think is dope about it is it leads me to another moment. Um, After I was working at LSU, and after I had prayed to get another trial, I prayed to get another opportunity. Um, I remember I got cut on TV, right? Like they didn't call me. Like I was the last cut, and you know how your old lady is. She was hot. That's unprofessional, woo woo. And I was like, nah, we good. So I get off the phone, bro. I get on my knees, and I thank God. I said, you know what? I asked for another opportunity because I felt like I needed some closure. I was like, I ain't making it. I'm ready to go back to work. So I packed my bags, bro. I go into work the next day, and Greg Williams calls me to his office. I'm thinking it's time to get cut, and he's cussing and fussing, bro, pissed off. Stupid mother effers, put your name down. And he goes, because if we was picking the team today, if we were giving out jobs today, you'd be on the team, you'd have a job. And it took me back to that moment with my mom's. And I was like, that's all she ever said was go get a job, and that's been my outlook on life since then. When I took the job at LSU to support my family, when my career was winding down, and I said, you know what? Let me start working this TV thing. Let me intern at LSU. Let me start this contract, to retiring and opening, or not opening, and becoming a partner and a part owner in a training facility. It's those small moments that you remember that people who are important to you tell you what other things are important. And, I remember forever, man, my mama hugging me and telling me, go get a job.
Wow, man, that's deep, bro, and that's great, and I love how you took time to get to the answer too. We appreciate it, bro. And I mean, shoot, man, we've been on here for a minute, RC. We are grateful for you having stopping by
Thank
the
you.
Savery Show.
You guys be
Ladies and
good,
gentlemen,
man.
absolutely, and ladies and gentlemen, whether you're watching this on YouTube or you've been listening in your car, at home, wherever you at work, even, RC dropped some knowledge on y'all. I hope you guys are soaking it up. And it's not just about the game too. Like, we love sports, bro, but how you kept it real. You talk about real life situations that we can all relate to, regardless if we're a professional athlete on TV, doing a 9 to 5, whatever it is that you're doing, we could all relate to you, bro. So we definitely appreciate you.
Thank
Before
you.
we get off here, y'all, for everybody listening, just make sure, follow the Savery Show. It's spelled again, Savery, right? The Savery Show. We're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all major podcast platforms. We appreciate and respect the listeners. Thank you for tuning in yet again to another episode of the Savery Show. Big shout out to RC taking the time to get on here, man. We love and respect you, bro.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, dog.
And that's that. We out. All right.
All right.